Russia has now received shipments of these ballistic missiles and will likely use them within weeks in Ukraine against Ukrainians. Russia has an array of its own ballistic missiles, but the supply of Iranian missiles enables Russia to use more of its arsenal for targets that are further from the front line.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken accusing Iran of sending Russia short-range ballistic missiles to use in the war against Ukraine. General Jack Keane is a former Vice Chief of Staff of the Army and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. I imagine that if foreign policy is covered at all tonight on the presidential debate, that Iran has got to come up. And its influence in the region and then farther afield than the region, sir. What should they ask? What should the people who want to be commander-in-chief be asked about tonight?
Well, interesting that you mentioned that, because I think the seminal change that has taken place from one administration to the other, in other words, the Trump previous administration and now the Biden administration for almost 4 years, is Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea's cooperation and collaboration together. And the incentives that they feel they have because of U.S. weakness. Mm-hmm. So it's not an isolated event that there's war in Europe, Russia has invaded, and there's war in the Middle East, and Iran has operationalized all of its proxies. And China is threatening war in the Indo-Pacific region. That is the major shift that has taken place in these 4 years, and I'm hoping that comes into discussion. And here's the major concern about it. We could find ourselves in a war in more than one theater. If China started a war because they believe the United States is so weak, North Korea could invade South Korea, knowing full well the United States can't handle all this. And the same thing in Europe, expanding beyond Ukraine, or in the regional war that's taken place in the Middle East. This is a danger we haven't faced since World War II.
Interesting that you brought up Kim Jong-un and North Korea. So just in the last 24 hours, the Kim Jong-un said, Little Rocket Man said, they want to be ready for combat with the United States, and that it is going to steadily strengthen its nuclear force capable of fully coping with any threatening acts imposed by its nuclear-armed rival states. Now, I know that he gets frustrated when he doesn't get attention for a while, and the night of a presidential debate might be a time for him to try to get in the news cycle. But what should we know about North Korea? It feels like it's been pretty quiet, but maybe he's not being quiet.
Well, we always have to, we can't take North Korea lightly. They have a nuclear arsenal in public sources, somewhere between 40 to 60 nuclear weapons. Obviously, that is incredibly significant in what damage they could do in the region. Secondly, they're a ballistic missile powerhouse. And so they can deliver these weapon systems regionally. They claim, and they've demonstrated, intercontinental ballistic missiles to reach the United States. We have some reservations how far they could actually go with that, and we also have some reservations, can they really put a nuclear weapon on a ballistic missile and so-called weaponize it? But nonetheless, we have to take them seriously. And I think what he'll do, as you mentioned, the election is coming, rhetoric is going to increase. He may actually go back to testing to do what? To get both candidates' attention, whoever it sends to office. He wants economic concessions, sanctions relief, an improved relationship with South Korea, who's gotten tougher on them. Japan has gotten tougher on them. The United States has entered into a trilateral relationship with Japan and South Korea. That is historic. Credit the Biden administration for doing that, and he doesn't like it. The exercise program with the United States and South Korea is back to where it was during the Trump administration. That is good news, and he doesn't like any of that. So it's likely he'll raise his head and try to intimidate and get some concessions.
All right, one last question for you, if you have a just 30-second answer. Ukraine today apparently attacking with the largest drone strike to date inside Russia and Moscow. Anything we should know?
Not military decisive, but what are they really doing here? They want to bring the war to Russia. They want pressure on Putin because the people are going to recognize what's going on here. We're in the third year of this war. I thought this was going to be over quick. Now it's 3 years, and Ukraine has occupied 500 square miles of Russian territory, and they're bombing the suburbs of Moscow. That is going to get the people's attention.
It's got our attention, indeed, as you always do. General Jack Keane, thank you.
You're welcome.